We're coming to you from our studios tonight here in Columbus, Ohio, and you are watching Guide Us TV. And this is the newsroom, Islam Newsroom. The news we need when we need it from the Islamic perspective. And with us tonight we have a gentleman by the name of Zachary Scott. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you for having me.
As we say in Arabic, marhaban alf, which means 1,000 welcomes.
Marhaban alf.
Hey, you're fast. Okay. Take it easy, man. It took me a long time to get this down. Don't show me up, okay? And Zach is, can I call you that? Or do you
yes, you may call me Zach, yes.
Or Your Majesty or whatever.
No, you can call me Zach, or Zachary, either one.
Zach happens to be the sheriff, the high sheriff, of Nottingham, no, of Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, Franklin County.
Yeah, that's right, Franklin County.
Franklin County.
Sheriffs are not sheriffs of a city, they're sheriffs of a county.
That's right.
And this goes way back. The tradition of sheriff is something that goes all the way back to England.
Oh, yes, that's correct.
And it means the guy with the power.
I guess.
Well, legally.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's the one, a lot of people don't realize it. My father used to lecture on a lot of things about government. And that was one of the things he would make clear, that in every county in the United States, you have a sheriff, and that is the final word. You go to him, he's the man.
Yeah.
How long have you been the county sheriff?
About 4.5 years as the sheriff, but I was a deputy sheriff for 26.
26 years?
Mm-hmm. 26 years as the deputy sheriff. And then my boss passed away. He died from pancreatic cancer. And then they appointed me, and then I ran for the position and won.
So it's over 30 years experience.
30 years experience, that's correct.
You don't look that old.
Oh, you're kind.
You might have started when you were 16, huh? I do want to ask you, though, why is it we have you on our show tonight?
Well, we want to talk about my platform and some issues I think that are surrounding a lot of people in general, especially our...
as a sheriff?
No, as a mayor.
As mayor.
As
well,
mayor.
That's what our audience didn't know that yet.
Yeah.
We're going to break that to them gently. We're talking about voting, and our policy is every year to promote the concept that Muslims have not the right only, but the obligation to go forward and vote.
Yes.
We cannot and will not promote any particular agenda or party or any of that, because that's not in our bylaws. But I would encourage everybody to vote, because being silent is a part of the problem. I always say you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And if you're going to be solution, you get out and you vote, provided, of course, you're a registered voter. But if you're not, go get registered.
Correct. No, you're absolutely right. Got to have a voice.
I'm going to ask you a question, maybe, and I don't know the answer to this one. Sometimes I do leading questions, but this one I really don't know. If somebody has a green card holder, is there any way that they can vote?
No.
They can't register?
No. No, if they don't have a green
They got to be citizens.
you got to be a citizen to vote. That's correct.
And then I think to vote in a county, you have to be a resident of that county for a period of time, don't you?
Yeah, and registration would have been, I think it's like, I want to say 30 days or something. But registration's already passed, so, because you got to have to do it within a month before you vote. So if they have not already registered, they won't be able to vote.
Well, we've got elections coming up. How many?
2 weeks, well, today's Wednesday, less than 2 weeks.
12 days?
It's 2 weeks, 13 days.
13 days. Yeah, right after.
You're right, probably about 12, because today's basically gone. So you're right.
Well, for us, for the Muslims and also Jews, when the sun goes down, we start a new day.
Okay, so you're right, 12 days.
So for us, it's 12 days. But let's talk about the agenda that you're looking for. What's the platform?
My platform is really simple. It's about bringing the right jobs to the Columbus area, not the Columbus region, but Columbus, and making sure our education system's working properly, and make sure we have some safe neighborhoods. And one other problem that's been going on is we don't have a voice from our communities. We don't have a voice from our Muslim communities. We don't have voices from our Latino communities. We really don't have voices from our African American communities. We don't have a ward system, a district. Out of the top 50 cities in the United States, Columbus is the only one out of the top 50 that has no ward system. So,
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. Everybody else has a ward system, but Columbus does not.
Okay, tell our audience what a ward actually means.
A ward or district, the word's interchangeable, basically means you take the city, and you divide it up in sections. It may be 7 sections. I saw one model was 10 sections, and you divide it up in different locations in groups. And then your city council is then elected from that group. So if you divide it up into 7 positions, you get 7 individuals elected from the zone, the ward, the district they live in, versus handpicking people that don't know anything about the neighborhoods, that don't have people in the neighborhoods don't know them. And you still have a few what they call at-large that you can get, like 3 or 4 that are kind of like voted in from all over the city. But the important thing is to have people that are actually from that community that get elected. So they have a seat at the table, they have a voice, and they have a vote for things going on in their district.
When we talk about school districts, is there, and I remember vaguely, my mother was a school teacher, but I remember in Houston that there was something called the 3rd Ward, and that's where the school district was, where she worked. Is there any kind of a tie-in between a ward and the school districts or something like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. Right now we just have the Columbus Public School System.
Yeah.
And then we have people who may live in Columbus proper services, but their kids may go to a place like maybe Worthington or Dublin or New Albany because it's called a win-win. They allow those schools to actually have their kids there, which is fine, but they can still get Columbus City Services, water and sewer. That was an agreement they struck to let the city annex, but not put their kids into the Columbus Public Schools because the Columbus Public Schools are not doing well.
I know that Hilliard, out where I live, is very popular.
Good example.
Dublin is also very popular.
Another good example. Yes.
Which one is stronger, Dublin or Hilliard?
I don't know which one as far as academically speaking. Both of them would probably argue different points of they're both better. They probably argue about football right now more than anything else.
Yeah, that's true. Right now, it's about the ball game. That later for the grades. But I wanted to come back to this topic of dividing up the city. Now, why would it be that a city of this size and importance, Columbus, in my estimation, is a very important city, not just geographically, but also economically for the United States, because many big companies come here and set up and test something. If it flies here, they say, let's take it forward. If it won't work here, they say it won't work in the rest of the country.
It is a
Wendy's
test market.
is a good example.
No, that's a great example. We have a lot of restaurants that come to Columbus area because we're known to be a test market for those type of venues, restaurants and things of that nature. It hasn't been done for years because there's a certain group of people that have power downtown, and they want to maintain that power. And the way you maintain that power is you make sure that the charter, which is what controls city government, is a charter. They put together their own governing body, so to speak, with their standards and policies. Well, they keep control by saying who they will put on city council. They pick them, they appoint them, and then they make sure they get voted in. Versus, and it's all a group of people that live in a very close proximity of each other, really. So they
Can I
keep
ask you a question?
Sure.
How are the potholes in their roads where they
All
live?
they're taken care of very well.
Well, that's nice. I think all of us should move to their neighborhood.
So now you see why we need a ward system. You're absolutely correct.
Well, I'm sure that they have some good ideas that they want to do. The idea of somebody being in power doesn't necessarily mean they're all that bad, but there are some things that sometimes you don't realize the greater good, and sometimes it's necessary for a person who's going to be a leader to make sacrifices. Now, we're Muslims, and we are very much concerned about our faith. And one of the things that we look to in every day is the human being by the name of Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his character, in his way, in his truthfulness, in his outstanding what's called akhlaq, behavior, or character, is something we're supposed to emulate. We're supposed to model after that. I'm not saying we do very good, but that's what we're supposed to do. So when we look to leaders, this is what we look at their character, and we want them to be what we're not, if you follow that.
I do.
I'm being real straightforward,
No,
you know.
I like that.
But that's what we're supposed to do. So we have a criterion that we as Muslims will look at, and if this person habitually lies or cheats or any of these things which, make a person not trustworthy, then it's going to be pretty hard to sell them on the idea going forward with it. And I understand that when people do get in this power craze thing, that oftentimes they can get into legal issues and get in trouble, and then
it's going on right now.
I know.
What you know, okay.
This is why I'm dropping these
Yes,
little
you know
hints.
But you're right, absolutely, it's going on. When you have certain people that stay in power all the time, then they get very, I guess, arrogant, and they think that they can do anything they want, and then they start stepping over lines. You know, when you're in leadership, it's you got to hold people accountable, but the number one person you got to hold accountable is yourself. And they failed to do that, and now they're dealing with it from FBI investigations.
You've gone back now to the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Last Testament. All say exactly what you just said. If you can't get yourself right, then you're never going to get anything else right.
That's right.
Now, our philosophy as Muslims is, number one, we put everything, number one, with God, believing in God. If you can't believe in God, then you can't be a Muslim. He's one God, doesn't have any partners. Second thing is, we believe in Muhammad as a person representing the way to get to God in the next life, not as somebody we worship, but definitely somebody that we look up to and would like to emulate the character. I'm saying this for a reason, because when you're talking to Muslims, you know where they're coming from. There will be, as the word transparency, you know, there will be a day when people will be looking down your throat, and you know that.
Oh yeah.
You've been through it before.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, and all of us have mistakes. There isn't anybody walking on the planet doesn't have mistakes. So that can be overlooked to an extent, as long as a person has this idea that, well, if I make mistakes, at least I can be big enough to admit it and go forward and say, guys, you know, I made a mistake. I make them every day, by the way.
We all do.
Yeah.
But now you're right, because the person who I'm running against would never say he's done anything wrong. And he continues to say he's done nothing wrong. And I don't fault anyone for trying and failing. I fault when you basically are not being truthful, and you've done things and you should be honest, and this person is not.
Well, that's another issue, but I would like us to look and examine now, what are the things that, why would any of our viewers here in Columbus, that, by the way, we're worldwide in our broadcasting. Most of our millions of viewers are even in other countries. So maybe here we've only got, suppose I got 10,000, 12,000 homes watching this right now. That might be a realistic figure. But for those people who are watching right now and want to know more about how the government works here and what it is they need to know, as mayor of the city, which is the post that you're looking for right now, what things do you see that really need the attention immediately? Number one.
Well, education and jobs again. Like I said before, we have the second largest, or second in the country in income inequalities.
Okay, when you say inequality, how can I understand that in simple terms?
We have the largest gap between people who make money and people who don't make money.
You're saying the have and the have-nots.
That is correct. A lot of cities are like closer like this in the middle. We're not. Unfortunately, we have a huge chasm there. It's a big gap between our people who make a bunch of money and people who don't make hardly any money. That's why we have 22% poverty in Columbus. That's why we have 17% working poor. And our 17% working poor, that number is going up 3 times the rate of our population growth. And for the last decade, poverty has went up 70% from where a decade ago it was in Columbus, Ohio.
70%?
From 10 years ago.
7-0.
70% it's climbed from what it used to be 10 years ago. And in the country where homelessness is going down by 15%, we're going up by 7.6. That's a 23% spread on homelessness issues. So we have a real, I guess, we have a real lack of leadership. And that's what's been going on. So I decided to get in this race. First of all, my first thoughts was on jobs, education, safety, to try to bring that up. Because if you fix the jobs and education, safety slowly starts taking care of itself. And then I find out, you know, when I start digging in a little bit more, nobody has a voice. They pick everybody that's supposed to have a voice. And I said, no, part of my platform is we need wards and districts. So everybody gets an opportunity to sit at the table and have a voice from their area. And so I'm going to fight for that the first thing I do when I get in as mayor.
Here's a question for you, though. I'm sure that they have plenty of people out there who would not agree with you.
That's right.
Those, I'm saying that team.
That team, correct.
That team
correct.
would say that, well, look, we don't want to hear that. We've got this thing going and it's perfect. Don't fix it. It's not broken and that kind of thing. Is that right?
Oh yeah, that team says that.
Well, this is not my first time, my first rodeo, if you know what I'm saying. But what I'm thinking about is, how are you going to be effective against this mentality? Because you're going to have a raft of folks there to deal with.
We do, but what we are seeing is there's a groundswell of people from all of our communities. We have a lot of support from the African American community. I've been getting a lot of support from the Somali community. We've been getting a lot of support from Latino community. They want this to happen.
By the way, those are the three communities who do watch our channel here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're wanting this to happen. They want to have a voice. They know. I mean, we do have a cultural arts center, okay, for African Americans. We don't have one for Somali. No cultural arts. We don't have one for Latino. We have a lot of neighborhoods that are Somalis and our Latinos living in, and African Americans that there's no rec centers for the kids, no places to go. So we do bring in a lot of money in Columbus, but I don't know where it all goes because there's no transparency, the word you used earlier. My goal is, once I get into the mayor's office, is we're going to do a thing called open checkbook. Open checkbook means that you can go online or your computer and you can see where monies are being used at the city. Right now, you can't. You don't know where money's being sent.
Oh, yeah. You know, we are a charity here in Columbus, Ohio, and it is one of the things that we have that you must have a transparency whenever you're asking people to donate. Even if they didn't have laws about it, you should do it anyway, because common sense, when people say, well, before I give this money, what am I putting it into? Because that's voluntary. But taxes are not voluntary.
Nope. That's right.
Some people claim the income tax was voluntary at one time, but we don't need to open that subject.
That's true. I think that was a constitutional argument, isn't it?
Mm. And you can waste time and wind up in
Yes,
jail.
you can.
I don't
That's
think I like that idea.
Jail's not fun.
No. Well, actually, I'm a former chaplain for the prisons, national chaplain for the Muslims in the United States.
Very nice. Very
So I've spent a lot of time in prison by the hour, and then back out again.
There you go. That's the best way to do it.
It worked for me. The coffee's good, though. But to come back to our subject, I want us to focus on the realistic side of what you're talking about. Because I could imagine anybody could just say, hey, you know what? I want to be the mayor. And those are the bad guys and we're the good guys.
Right.
And we got a good idea. We're going to put a chicken in every pot, a car in every garage. I mean, 1940s, that's the way they used to campaign. And a buck in every pocket. Everybody's going to be happy. You know, we're all going to be singing and dancing in the streets. But the reality, I want to know, reality-wise, let's talk first about the idea of the wards, because this, what you told me tonight, I did not know. And
I'll tell you something else you didn't know. There's a group of people, a guy by the name of Jonathan Beard, and several of his people who are helping, and he's a community activist. And Jonathan Beard has tried 3 times to pass the ward system, or at least get enough signatures to get it to the ballot so the voters could vote on it. And each time the powers be downtown make up excuses. Oh, you don't have enough signatures, or those aren't good signatures, or oh, you filed it at the wrong place. Now, once I'm mayor, we're not going to play those games because I'm going to get involved in it. If I have to hire an attorney to read the language over for their actual charter change, I want to make sure the charter change language is proper. I'll make sure we take it to the right location, and I will challenge anyone down there at the Board of Elections that says these signatures aren't good, because we're going to get it done. That's the difference between what I'm going to do and what they have failed to do, and what they've caused Jonathan Beard and all that group not to be able to do for 3 times they've tried. And they're already starting to pick up signatures. Right now as we speak, they're doing signatures again to try to make sure they get it on the ballot next year.
you heard what he said about signatures. We're going to come back right after this, and we're going to be talking about the signatures that we, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, were able to acquire to get the Eid petition recognition for the Eid holiday. We're going to be talking about how that got done just a couple of days ago and what we can do to help get this business going here in Columbus. Stay right there and get guided with Guidance TV.
Get guided, oh. Guidance TV.
Welcome Sheikh Yusuf MashaAllah. Newly converted Muslims. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Oh, I love this. And you can watch it anytime if you just get the apps, the free apps for iPhones, iPads, also the smartphones. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. The smartphones and the Android phones, you'll be able to do it real easy, and it is free, and you can watch it anytime. Wa alaikum salam. We're about ready to give some more shahadas, and you can join us. You can also help donate. Donate online at guideus.tv. Yeah, guideus.tv/donate. Allahu Akbar. And you can be helping these people get to Islam too. Ah, Allahu Akbar. Allah gives the hidayah. He guides the people with Guide Us TV.
Guided, get guided. Oh, Guide Us TV. Get guided, get guided. Oh, Guide Us TV.
Welcome Sheikh Yusuf Estes and the newly converted Muslims.
MashaAllah.
We're back. You're watching Guidance TV. This is our program for the news, Islam Newsroom. Recently, we had a petition that was introduced to Congress and it needed some signatures. By the time we found out about it, they only had about, they'd been spending, I think, about 2 weeks or so trying to get signatures. They had about 30,000. We put it on Guidance TV, and then within, I think, 36 hours, they had 127,000. Only needed 100 to get the petition recognized. I got that up here, and let's take a look at it. Yeah, that's right. The Eid Holiday USA petition was accepted. That doesn't mean that they have got a bill out here that's accepted, but it means that at least we got some recognition to open up the topic, the subject. The Eid Holiday petition accepted for consideration in the White House, because it's up to the White House to decide about these things, okay? So we put it on there. Let's see what we did and how does it look. Let me see if I got a picture for you. There it is, right there, okay? So you can see right there 112,952, and of course after that they don't need to go any further. That was published September 30th, and they needed all the signatures before October 31. We did it in 36 hours. I say we, but I'm not taking credit for anything, because obviously there were a lot of people who did the work, and if we in any way contributed to something good, we ask Allah to accept it. I want to mention too that the Eid postage stamp, Sister Amina Asilni, if you remember her, may Allah have mercy on her soul, she passed away a few years back. She and I used to talk on this subject about getting it done, and she was the main ramrod behind it. She was the former women's liberator who pushed for so many different rights throughout the decades. And anyway, I feel that we have an obligation to Islam, to Allah, to all of us really, to promote the Eid stamp and use it. But at the same time, we owe something to her too, because she's the one that stuck with it and pushed and pushed and pushed with her own time, effort, and money. So let's remember her in our prayers. Also, I want to talk about this idea of petitions, because we do have a guest with us right now. We have Zach Scott, who's the current sheriff, the high sheriff of the land here in Franklin County, but also he's running for the position of mayor of the city of Columbus.
Correct.
And you're welcome.
Thank you.
You for being with us.
Thank you.
Most welcome. I wanted to ask you, as now you're mayor, you're currently running to be the mayor, but as the sheriff, you just have to be a resident of the county.
Resident of the county, that's correct. Well, sheriff has a little bit more qualifications. They've changed the law. State of Ohio, you have to live in the county, you have to have been involved in law enforcement, you had to work full-time, you had to have been a supervisor at one time, or you have to at least have, I think, an associate's degree or bachelor's.
I'm just talking about residence.
Just
right
residency,
now.
that is correct, I'm sorry.
But now, as mayor, though, you need to be living in the city of Columbus, don't you?
I do, and I qualify.
Okay, good. Wanted to get that out of the way up front. So now if any of you guys had questions about that, yes, he lives here. Homeboy. Where were you raised?
Pretty much in Columbus. I was 12 years old, but I was born in Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Kentucky, that's right.
Ooh, the bluegrass state. Well, I was born in Ohio.
Cleveland, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Outside of there's a place called Hamden.
Okay.
And then we moved in the 40s down to Texas when the big run was there and the big opportunities, get rich quick and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes. But one of the real reasons we went to Texas was jobs and education. My father wanted us to have the best chance at education and wanted to have a good job to be able to support the family. Mm-hmm. And when he got there, he found that jobs were prevalent, education was good, and they had a ward system that you were speaking about a little earlier, where every group, let's say that, that's for example, say you have 10 wards, or 5, whatever, but let's say I live in this particular ward, I'm interested in what's happening in my community, and I would like somebody on my behalf to speak there. Just like we have your county representatives in the state.
Yeah.
And you also have your state representatives in the national. So how come we don't have something like that for our city when all the major cities have it?
Yep. They don't. There's powers to be that don't want us to do that, so they keep control.
Is it that? I mean, that sounds good. Is it that, or they just don't know how to do it?
Oh, no, they know how to keep us from doing it. They've done it 3 times.
3 times.
So they know what they're doing.
Well, what is, I guess I'd have to ask them what's their reason behind it, because I'm sure they've got something they could say.
Well, they would probably say, well, I was in a debate today with the person I'm running against, and he said, which I couldn't believe he said it in front of a bunch of people, he said the minorities don't want it. It might keep them. That's what
The
his
minorities don't want a voice. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of back after 9/11 when somebody, I don't want to quote who it was, but he said, they hates freedom. There's not a human on the planet that hates freedom. Because if that was the case, they'd all be saying, please take me to prison, take me to jail.
Right.
So whoever said that about...
Well, Mr. Ginther said that today. He said, well, you know, if we do that, it might prevent minorities from having a voice, and it would probably prevent women from having a voice. So we don't need those ward systems. We'll just pick who we need to put on there.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
I know.
Hold on.
You can get.
Are you sure you got that right?
It's on video. So yes, he said that.
Oh, man.
And my team, when we walked away there,
If we
they
were
like,
doing late night talk shows, I'd need to watch these guys because I'd have material like that.
yes, they're that bad. And even my group was like, I don't believe he just said that. And it's being recorded. So, but yeah, he said, yeah, minorities and women would not have a voice. So we can't do that. We just need to pick who needs to be on there.
Well, you know, there is one concept when you consider yourself to be God.
They do.
Then you could do that.
You're 100% right. They do.
If you know, because I'm the ultimate power. You got to do what I say, and that is well.
That's
every
right.
human is born with that potential.
We do. We do. I mean, we're born with rebellion. We're born with that feeling. Yeah, you're right. We are.
Every human being is born with the potential to want to overtake others and have them.
Starts really early. I got a
tribute to
granddaughter,
them.
and she's trying to take charge of everything, and she's 20 months old.
20 months old.
And she's already starting to try to take charge of everything.
I got great grandkids, and
do
they
you?
all do the same thing. I love them. But I want to come back now to the ward thing that we're talking about. In your estimation, how many wards would be logical for the city of Columbus?
I've seen 2 different models. I saw one that said 7 districts and 4 at large. Meaning at large means they're not in a district, they just are on city council and the whole city votes for those people. I saw 7 and 4. I saw most recently a 10 and a 3. So somewhere's in there.
The 10 and 3 sounded better to me.
It does. I think we would get more people with
yeah.
800,000.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most recent one that signatures are being tried to, I guess, to get enough signatures.
Now, who's promoting that? Who's the ramrod behind that?
Jonathan Beard, and he writes for the Free Press. And if somebody wants to contact Jonathan Beard to help him, you could go to scottforcolumbus.com and put that in there and say, hey, could someone get me in touch with Jonathan Beard? And then they would redirect you over, because I don't have Jonathan's information, but he does write for the Free Press.
All right,
Columbus.
guys, we've got it up on
I mean, you might be able
my
to pull up Free
set
Press.
right now on my computer here. This is Zach Scott for mayor. Says trusted leadership on here. I want to come down here and show you a picture that I was kind of pleased with here, because it shows that we have ethnicity, and you're the only white guy here.
Oh, well,
That's good.
Majority, probably 90% of my staff happens to be African American. I have, I mean, just a variety of people. I have Latinos, some Somalis help. A variety of people.
Jackson, Chief Jackson.
Oh yeah, Chief Jackson.
Chief of Police.
Yeah, retired.
For Columbus.
He was retired, and he endorsed me. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Now, while he's in office, can he endorse somebody, or is that not
He's retired.
appropriate?
He's retired right now.
I know, but
They usually don't do that.
kind of not.
Yeah.
It's not a smart business move, because if your guy doesn't get it, you're in trouble.
That's right. You're absolutely correct.
Well, I think people pretty much know that we say on our channel, we say, what we feel, what we think, but it doesn't mean we're right. The fact that I can do that doesn't mean that I'm right in what I say. And for those of you who think, oh, I'm trying to promote a candidate, what I'm trying to promote here, as always, is information that we need to know from our perspective. And if Zach Scott is the guy for us, then great if you want to vote for him. But if he's not the guy you want to vote for, my point for you is to vote, because when you vote, then you've done something that you're really obliged to do. Or some people say it's a privilege to vote in America. It is not. It's a duty. You should vote. And as far as like when people said it's a privilege to have a driver's license in America, no, that's your right. You have the right to, drive, and you have the right to get a license, etc. But when it comes to voting, they say it's a right according to America, but according to Islam, it is your responsibility to voice. Let me quote to you now from what the Quran tells us about this. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. This is chapter 3, verse 110 of the Quran in the Arabiya. And what we find here, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's saying you're the best of nations raised up for humankind, because you call to maruf, you forbid al-munkar, wa tu'minuna billah, and you believe in Almighty God. With that being said, I want to tell you the two words that I left untranslated, maruf and munkar. Maruf, many people, the translators will say it means good and you forbid evil, but that's just a little too simplified. In essence here, because the subjugation here of the belief in God never occurs in Islam, ever. Always God is first, but in this verse, you notice it came at the end of what I said. What tu'minu billah means you believe in Allah. So why? And so I asked the scholars about this, Zach, and this is what they told me. They said, how do you translate maruf and munkar? I said, good and evil. They said, no. It's the ultimate good. You must call to the ultimate good and forbid the ultimate evil. And this implies people's rights to everything that Islam is teaching us. And for benefit, your benefit to know in the future, if you like, or maybe you already know it, Islam teaches us that every soul has rights. Even your enemies have rights. Every plant, every animal, every insect has rights. We mustn't kill even insects if there's no reason to kill them. We mustn't go out and hunt for sport and leave animals laying there dead. These are things that are very much against Islam. And so having said that, the ultimate good, calling to the belief, the morals, the taking care of your neighbor, helping the stranger and the wayfarer. These are all outlined in the Quran, but it's saying, in essence, to call to the teachings. If you're not familiar with the Quran, the Bible, the Old Testament, it's got the 10 Commandments, for instance. Actually, it's 220-something commandments, just in the 5 books of Moses, but that's beside the point. The essence of the commandments is very simple. And first of all, believe in God and know that He's watching and hearing everything you're doing all the time, and you will ultimately be judged by Him. Maybe not here, but in the hereafter. Second of all is for us to know that we have to take care of our bodies. Our body has rights on us. Our mother and father have rights. Our wives, our children, our neighbors, our relatives, everybody has rights. And there is a pecking order. Obviously, you take the rights of your mother over a stranger if you have to make choices. But what we're saying is that all of us have rights, and we're supposed to give rights. The problem most people have when they open a discussion about rights is they forget about the other side. That's a scale. Rights is a scale. On the other side is something called limitations, and understanding that scale is called responsibility. And not trying to lecture you on
No,
it.
I'm enjoying your
You're the
your
sheriff.
talking.
You know all of that
No,
before
I am.
me.
I'm enjoying it.
But this is our belief. And for us as Muslims, when we want to know facts and get the real lowdown on a subject, we need to have the perspective. And so I'm going to ask you this question. Are you financially able to do a big campaign here in Columbus?
Yes, we've done very well raising money. Actually, during the primary, he outraised us, I want to say 4 to 1. They gave him a lot of money. We made it through the primary. This is the first time in 61 years that a candidate made it through without a major party endorsement. Okay, so we made it through the primary, and now this time we've outraised him. And we're on TV more than he's been on TV. So it kind of flipped. And it probably doesn't help that he had all those legal issues surrounding him going on. So
Yeah, well, we don't need to. That's another thing, by the way. In Islam, you know what? Even we have enemies. I have people who attack me on Facebook and on YouTube or Twitter or whatever. But at the same time, I'm not allowed to attack them back. Islam doesn't allow me to do that. And some are taking videos and take pieces and make it look like you said something you didn't say.
correct.
And I watched it and I got so furious. And then my wife, my real boss here on earth, she said, just calm down. So, you know what you said, you know what you didn't say, you know what you meant. But you just don't go out and don't fight fire with fire because everybody gets burned.
That's right.
So have you had anything like this ever in your campaigns and so on? Where people make it look like you said something you didn't say?
He does it all the time. But you know what? I like you said, when it comes to the Bible, you have to pray for your enemies. That's scripture. And I have actually prayed for Mr. Ginther several times. So that's part of what I have to do.
Well, in Islam, now this is another point about this. We have to pray for our leaders. We are never supposed to try to overthrow our leaders.
That's true.
What happened in the Arab Spring, if you're familiar with that, when Egypt overthrew their leader and kicked him out, and then
What year are we talking?
just a couple years ago.
Okay, I didn't catch that one.
You don't keep up with world events. You're too busy with
Sometimes,
local events.
Yeah, I mean, I know a little bit what's going on in Russia and Syria and Israel and a few things, but I missed that one.
Yeah, Egypt, actually, the Christians and Muslims came together and they were wanting to get rid of the Mubarak, who was their leader.
Okay, yes, I do know that name. Now, when you said that, Mubarak.
And this was actually the very beginning of Guidance TV, because we were only 2 weeks old when we did our first live. Okay. We grabbed Al Jazeera, they are friends of mine. I know them very well over in the Middle East. And so we pulled their feed and put it on our channel. Like I have this sitting here, only we were putting it on there and letting people see it. And I was saying the English. And then we had phone calls that came in from there to let people hear the actual people in the streets that were demonstrating.
Okay.
It was amazing. We were the only ones that could do that. Even Al Jazeera can't put the spin on it that I can, because I don't have any sponsors. Yeah. I don't care.
Right.
Anyway, what happened was that day that we went live, earlier that day, Hillary Clinton had said, this looks like Al-Qaeda and what's the other one, Taliban, trying to take over Egypt, right? So when we put that on, it was clear there's nothing about any kind of militant or rebels or jihadi guys. Or it was people that had it to the limit with their leader, so they want to overthrow it. Well, Within 2 days, she was on saying, no, this is not Al-Qaeda, this is not this is the people, and so and so. And then they started, all the news people started coming out with showing pictures of the Muslims and Christians holding hands together. One lady, all the ladies over there wear the cover, even the Christians do. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know Christians
Yeah,
did.
a lot of them do anyway. Not everybody, even not all the Muslim ladies. I shouldn't have said it that way, but there are both anyway. So we see that there are people who watch our channel. They want to know what's the facts. And I think that it's a big responsibility for us to interrogate and put you on the spot. And we're going to do that when we come back. So don't you dare go away. We're going to get the seat warmed up right here and get guided with Guidance TV.
My name is Abu Hafsa Abdul Malik Claire, and if you don't know, you should know. You're watching Guide Us TV. But guess what? Guide Us TV is available on your phones now. It's available on your iPhone, on your iPod, on your iPad, on your Android, all over the smartphones. It is available on your App Store or your Play Store. It is FREE free. Go there, download it, install it, play it, enjoy it, and share it. And remember, get guided with Guide Us TV. Now available on your App Store, Guide Us TV. Go to your App Store today, search for Guide Us TV, download, and enjoy. My name is Abu Hafsa Abdul Malik Claire, and if you don't know, you should know. You're watching.
We are
Guide Us
back. You're watching Guidance TV. That was just a short break, wasn't it? And we want to right now come down to the topic here of exactly what it is we expect to see from those elected officials in our community. And tonight, to help us do that, we have the sheriff of our county, which is Franklin County, Zachary Scott. Assalamu alaikum. Now that means peace be upon you.
Thank you.
And we're instructed to say that to anybody. And some Muslims say, oh, no, you can't say it to somebody that's not a Muslim. But I got news for you guys. The Quran says, spread the salams. So, and by the way, I earlier referred to a verse in the Quran.
Okay.
But guys, those of you who are watching right now, many of you know that verse because you've heard the Jamaat Tabligh use it and different people use that and in the Friday sermons. But did you know that's only half the verse? That's only half. Let me read it to you again, only this time I'm going to continue and give you the other half of it. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله ولو منع أهل الكتاب لكان خيرا لهم منهم المؤمنون وأكثرهم فاسقون. So that's the other half of it. After telling us that we are God's telling us we are the best of nations raised up for human beings, but there should be a prepositional introduction phrase here, if. Because not everybody's doing that. If you call to al-Ma'ruf, the ultimate good, and if you're willing to stand against the evil, and you believe in Almighty God. But now there's an and. It's wa, or yeah. The rest of it says, and if the people of the book, that's Jews and Christians, believe, that's better for them. From them are believers. You didn't know that, did you? You got people telling you that anybody that's not a Muslim is a kafir, that they're all going to go to hell. Be careful. Be careful. Read the tafsir. Go to qtafsir.com. That's one of our websites, qtafsir.com, and find out for yourself. It says, and from them are, and we have to use this understanding, a few who do believe in God. Because the next part gives it away. وَأَكْثَرَهُمْ كَثِيرًا too many, most of them, the vast majority of them, fasikun. Doesn't call them kafir, calls them fisk, fasik. What is fasik? This is disobediently corrupt. Disobediently corrupt. And I showed this whole verse to one of my pastor friends some years ago. You know what he said? You're talking about my congregation. That's what he said. And for sure, we know that, but there's a warning embedded in this, dear brothers and sisters, don't become the same way. Don't become the same way. Stand firm for what is haq, ultimate truth, and stand firm against batil, which you and I both know means the falsehood. We have to be firm for these two things. Otherwise, your life is worthless. Your life has no meaning if you can't stand up and be counted amongst those who call the truth, forbid evil, and believe in God. So let's put our hands together for that and ask that Almighty Allah guide all of us, because none of us know on the end day, the last day, exactly how any of us are going to wind up, all right? All right, so now I want to come to you, and we've only got a few minutes left in our program. I want to ask you this. In your position today as the sheriff, you have a big responsibility. And people are looking to you to do a job. At the same time, you're considering being mayor. Have you made any plans for what will happen to the role that you will leave before you go to something else?
Absolutely. A good leader always takes care of their people, no matter where they go.
That's a fact. That's why I put it on you.
Yes, I already have someone who's mentoring. I have been mentoring him for a long time. He is willing to accept that responsibility, and if it happens, it'll be 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, 12 days, if I get elected, and then by the first of the year, January 1st, I would be sworn in as mayor, and then someone who has, it's one of my chiefs. I have 4 chiefs, and it would be one of my chiefs who would be the individual that we would want to swear in at the same time to take over as sheriff.
That's good news.
Yeah.
That's good news.
And he knows, he's been there for a long time. He's worked different divisions. He understands the philosophies that we put in place, the leadership philosophies. He understands the importance of making sure all of our communities feel included. You know, at the sheriff's office, we're very proud that we were able to graduate from my academy, the first ever deputy sheriff of Somali in the state of Ohio, which we're very proud of that. We just hired an individual who is a Somali outreach coordinator. That's never been done before. And here, within another month, we'll probably have a Latino outreach member. That's never been done. So he understands the importance of making sure your communities feel involved and keeping them involved, because we also were able to put together an advisory board for the sheriff. That's from the different people from our different communities. That way they give me advice and good counsel, because I believe in good counsel. I sure don't have all the answers.
Islam teaches us that in order to succeed in this world, the material world we live in is called hayat, which means life, dunya, which means the material world, hayat dunya. In this hayat dunya, we are instructed to work in teams. We're instructed to pray in gatherings, not by yourself if you can avoid it. Pray together, work together, plan together. It tells us in Quran, wa umruhum shura bainahum, make consultation amongst yourselves. Our prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, taught us that when you have a group, make one of them the leader for you. And then he should do consultation with you. And then whatever he says at the end of the consultation, then shut up. It's what he said, that's what you go with. And you gave your opinion, and they gave their opinions, okay, but now he has made the decision, move forward.
That's how I manage.
Because if you, this is a problem that you have when you have people who don't understand this concept, because they begin to undermine right away the authority because they haven't got this concept in their mind. He's the leader. That's why we put him there. And I said, well, I think the boat ought to go that way. Well, I think the boat needs more water. I think that it's, and so and so and so and so. But finally, the captain said, this is what we need. And you don't go to the captain and say, well, now look, you didn't take my opinion, so I'm just going to jump off the boat. You know, or jump out of the airplane in the case of the captain of an airplane. It doesn't work. And the same way in our affairs of the land, we're taught, as a matter of fact, that we should be involved with authority as a supporter, not a detractor. And if you have something positive to say it. But if it's no benefit to say something negative, our Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir yaqulu khayr aw yasmut." If you don't have anything good to say, listen to this. Let the one who believes in Allah and the last day either say good or zip it. That's Texas translation. Anyway, I want to emphasize that because I want to know, you've got experience. You've been in the sheriff's department for a little while. And you know how important it is to have people follow orders, follow directions, follow the plan. So how are you on laying out a plan? Can you get that plan communicated to the people, and can they follow it?
I've done that my whole career. I worked, my years of working at the sheriff's office before being sheriff, I worked in SWAT. I was homicide detective. I worked undercover. So the idea of me putting together an ops plan and then executing an ops plan and getting good results, that's what I've done my whole career.
All right, now, it's easy to sit here and talk about things, but I think when somebody has a track record, I think that needs to be examined. As a matter of fact, that's what they call the transparency. I've got your website up here if anybody wants to go to this. This is, I think it's Scott for Columbus. Yes, scottforcolumbus.com if you want to know more about Zachary Scott and what he's up to and what he's all about, and some of the folks that are with him. And talk to me about people that might be against what you're doing and what you've found from that.
My opposition doesn't want wards. They seem to shy away from getting really involved in the school system.
Really?
Well,
how is our school system right now?
it's not very good right now. Because what we're doing is recently we had 30-some, well, me and my opponent, we discussed this. I said 30,000 jobs. He said 34. Okay, 34,000 jobs coming to the Columbus area, and those jobs are going unfilled. No one's working them because we don't have the we don't have the skills or the diplomas to fill the jobs. Why is that? Because the schools are doing their thing, jobs and the businesses are doing their thing, and no one is making the two to come together to make sure that we're functioning at a level.
So hold on a second. We've got a big unemployment here.
Yeah.
And then we also have people that are underemployed.
Yeah.
That are not able to stay up with their bills, basically.
Correct.
So, but you're telling me there are jobs available, but they're not the kind of jobs that the people can fill.
Correct.
Is that what we're saying?
Because we don't have vocational training and our schools are not functioning the type of career paths they need to give out. They function basically saying, it has been in the past, there's some slight change. And right now they're saying, it used to be if you don't go to college, they didn't do anything with you. Well, 70% of the people that live in Franklin County, Columbus, they don't go to college. They don't have a college degree. And that doesn't mean you can't be successful. It just means you don't have a college degree. I was not a traditional student. I didn't get a college degree until I was in my late 30s, early 40s. I got my bachelor's in organizational leadership and business administration. But I did that later on. So
it's not easy when you do it that way.
it's not, but you know, you got to live and learn. And so, but the idea is there was a path for me, and I want to see paths for other kids. But right now, it's not connected. So the mayor right now has no authority over schools. Only the school board controls schools.
Is that normal in a city this size?
Yeah, there's a lot of cities this size. Now that you said that, like I could throw you out like Baltimore, Boston, New York, Yonkers, Cleveland, L.A., Oakland. They have let the people vote to move the schools under the mayor's authority. Now they've done that, but they had to put a model, they had to get some reform, and then they had to have the voters, the actual voters vote.
What about Detroit?
I think Detroit is too. Now you said that. That's very good, yes. But I wasn't saying I was going to do that. I said, listen, we're going to get a comprehensive plan, a comprehensive goal, and we're all going to be on the same page. And if we're not on the same page, then yes, I will be more aggressive to say, well, then maybe we need to look at some type of reform. So schools, businesses, we're going to meet because this has got to stop. And it takes leadership to say, time out, this is going to stop. Because I don't have any sponsors either, so I can say what I need to say. So.
So you're like Guidance TV.
Yes, I am.
It means you don't have as much money to play with, that's for sure, but at the same time, that sometimes the money brings about the opposite of what you're out there for to start with.
That's correct.
I need to always keep in mind that our channel is here for him, not for me. And that's what we're here to serve him first.
That's right.
Not the community first, community second. Because if I compromise that, then eventually I would compromise my community anyway.
That's right.
That's
You're
something I
100%
have.
right.
We started with that, and we're winding up with that. Comes back to having a moral responsibility. And if you don't believe in God, then what do you believe in?
Whatever comes along.
Yeah, and that's very dangerous. I want to encourage all of the believers, Muslims, Jews, Christians, whoever believes in God, I want to encourage you to go down and vote. And if you aren't registered for this go around, get registered for the next one. Please vote. Voting is a right in our country, but it's a responsibility in our faith. You've got to put your voice out there forward so that you are showing how we support al-Maruf and we forbid al-Munkar. And tu'minuna billah, believing in Allah. Well, I've enjoyed having you on our program tonight. It's been my pleasure. We haven't met before, I don't think, have we?
No, I guess not, but you just look familiar.
Yeah, I'm a familiar kind of guy. But for sure, I would like to have a chance to have you back again and monitor this.
My honor.
Last question. What if you don't win?
Still the sheriff.
Still a sheriff.
Still
All
a sheriff.
right. That's good news. And everything will still be okay between you and the city hall?
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll just pray about it and see how God leads us on it.
And I like that. And we always say that. May Allah guide all of us Siratul Mustaqim, to the straight path. Until next time for Islam Newsroom and Guidance TV, I say, get guided with Guidance TV. Assalamu alaikum.